What's up, guys? Welcome back to our episode review of Loki. Today is episode 5, titled Journey into Mystery, which is a nice little reference to the comic book that Thor first appeared in, which was called Journey into Mystery, so nice little Easter egg there. So, yes, I'm recording this right after my episode 4 review, because I was not here previously for my episode 4 review, so when it came out. So, so for my episode 4 review, if you have not seen it, go check it out. It came out literally same day as this, so go check it out. But yeah, so we're now on episode 5. We're now one episode away till the show ends, so very interesting. And I honestly, I don't know. This episode at parts was at times my favorite of the show for how wild it was, but at times I'm like not that interesting because the episode of course picks up where the last one left off, where Loki wakes up. The end credits scene from the last episode where Loki wakes up in this weird place and he finds these other versions of himself. There's like this kid version of Loki, there's a old man version of Loki, there's this like brawnier, strong like guy Loki, like all the other versions of Loki, and of course we learned that from Renslayer when she's talking to Sylvia that this place is a void where basically whenever we learn that every time they disintegrate stuff or reset timelines, they're not actually destroying them. What they're actually doing is that they're just throwing them to this void place where like nothing will happen. And what we later learn from Sylvia doing some digging and stuff, that the void kind of acts like the end point currently of time, because as we've known that the timeline's still not finished being written by the timekeepers or by whoever, so who's doing it. But yeah, so it's at the end of time where it's not fully written yet, so nothing will alter it. There's no branches that could make them aware of it. So it's a whole messed up place where like there's people and things from across different variant timelines. Like there's like sections of like timelines that were reset that were all thrown here. There's like New York City landscape. There's like ships, all this kind of stuff, vehicles, and it's filled with a bunch of so many cool Easter eggs. Like, of course, the other version of Loki are all versions from the comics. Of course, our older version of Loki, played by Richard E. Grant, we now know what his version was. He dresses exactly like Loki, like back in the day from the 60s in the comic, which I thought was a really awesome reference. Then there's of course the kid Loki, which was a thing in the comics. Then there's of course, like I said, the brawnier strong Loki, who has like a hammer, not like Thor's hammer, just like a regular kind of hammer. So there's that guy. And then there's an alligator, just straight up an alligator, which I feel like might be a joke on the show about the actual Loki in Norse mythology, because if you don't know anything about the actual Loki in that mythology, to put it lightly, he gets busy with animals. he quite does. Like he gets a lot animal-related stuff. It's weird. So maybe that's the kind of joke that Odin in this timeline banged a crocodile or an alligator and got alligator Loki. Such a weird. I don't know. It was funny though. And these Loki, we learned a couple things about how why they were variants. Like the older Loki, we learned is that his is interesting because we learned that his whole timeline was like the same up until Infinity War, where Thanos was supposed to kill him, but he actually decided not to use a knife and like trying to stab him because he thought that's like pointless to do. It's not Loki's best tactics is like magic and trickery. So he makes an illusion that was so convincing even Thanos spotted it, and then he just disguised himself as a piece of like debris floating in space, and he just kind of floated in space for years, he said, and then somebody landed on a planet and just stayed there as debris still, just sat there, didn't really move for like decades, and then finally somebody decided to like come out of his like disguise and like take his first proper step on the planet, and then the TVA finally realized he was there and decided, okay, gotta get him now. Which is interesting that he was apparently around for decades before they noticed that he was there, so that's interesting. So it's possible you can avoid being a variant a little bit, but it's pretty cool. Another thing also, the kid Loki, we learned that he killed Thor's child, so that's why he's a variant, why he's a kid version of Loki. The stronger Loki, they said he was lying, but I'm not sure, because he said how he killed Captain America and Iron Man, and he also claimed the Infinity Stones, but they said he was lying. I don't know. And the alligator Loki just ate a neighbor's cat. That's why he's a variant, so wow. But this whole void place is a treasure trove of Easter eggs, and I did not catch all of them. Definitely people online who are better at me and more crazy about looking at every detail in the episodes will find all the Easter eggs. But I saw a couple I thought, that's pretty cool. Like, I mean, like, just the mere facts. Like, the Thanos copter was in the episode. Like, honest to God, the Thanos copter was here, and so was Frog Thor. Like, we saw a hammer, and it was like, Frog Thor was trying to get it. Like, I was like, what? Like, yeah, I could not believe it all. When I saw the Thanos copter, I'm like, we actually did it. The Mad Lads did it at Marvel. They actually put one of the most ridiculous things that no one ever thought would ever happen beyond live action is now here. And it was kind of insane. And Frog Thor thought was a fun little thing. I'm like, I did not think I'd see that either, but that's cool seeing that. And other people online point out some other things I saw. Like, one guy point out that there's a giant, like, Yellow Jacket helmet just, like, sitting and, like, covered in moss and stuff, which I did not know before, and I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. So there's definitely a lot of stuff that's in there that I didn't pick up on, but you know, there's also a bunch of our Lokis. Like, we finally learn how Loki gets into that, like, presidential kind of costume. It's actually a different Loki entirely. It's not even the one we're following. It's this Loki who leads a scrapper guild, or a pirate thief, kind of with a bunch of other Loki variants who are all wildly different from each other, and the one stronger Loki betrayed that group of Lokis, and, like, it was an insanely funny scene where just, like, our Loki's sitting here watching, just as all these Lokis keep betraying them back and forth, like, I'm betraying you, like, no, I was promised to be king, well, no, I'm in charge, actually, we're all betraying you, what, you traitors, like, it was just funny, and just Loki watching the whole thing, he's just like, oh my god, like, it's pretty amusing, that whole scene. But of course, a bunch of other things happen, like we see Sylvia and Mobius, they reunite, and they all reunite with the Lokis and meet up, and, you know, some pretty good stuff happens, cool stuff, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie, once Mobius and Sylvia meet up with the other Lokis, goes down a bit hill. Cause I said in my last review that, like, I was so glad that we got Loki and Mobius interactions again in the last episode, because, like, their interaction and, like, chemistry felt much stronger than the one with Loki and Sylvie. I just wasn't a fan of that. And, like, there's not a lot of Loki and Mobius in this episode, like, interacting. Although there is that one scene near the end, which I'll get to. But there's more of a Loki and Sylvie, and by God, I hate it so much. They're really pushing this, like, love relationship. Like, oh, they're in love. Like, they're snuggling in a blanket and stuff, like, holding top of, oh, what are you gonna do after? It's like, stop it. Like, just stop it. Like, this is next level is weird. Like, I don't know what in Marvel, like, who at Marvel is saying, you know what, we need Loki to bang himself. Like, that's what we always wanted, right? No, I don't care if it's, like, a female version of Loki, it's still Loki. Like, no, I don't want to see, like, him in a relationship with himself. I don't want to see him make out with himself. Like, no. Like, it's so weird. And it's not even that. Like, it is that. I hate that. Like, I don't like it at all. But also, I don't know, I'm definitely alone in this, because I know a lot of people like her, but I'm just not getting into the Sylvie character at all. I'm not saying not at all. There's, like, some good stuff to her, like her whole, like, her past is, like, is cool and interesting, and, like, it's tragic, like how she's been on the run since she was a child, and, like, and even the last episode she talked about how, like, you know, for years she's been hiding apocalypses and just seeing lives and civilizations just destroyed for years, which that's awful. It's just having the force to see all that all the time. But I don't know, I'm just like, I'm not into the character of Sylvia that she's not really just that interesting to me. I don't know why. She just isn't that interesting, I feel. And, like, I don't know, like, I hate the romance thing they're doing with her and Loki. But then, like, before they were doing the whole romance thing, I don't know, I just wasn't digging, like, the back and forth between them. Like, I don't know, I'm just not digging it. And honestly, I feel like this episode, it's kind of went downhill bits with them going, once, like, Mobius and Sylvie met up with the others, like I said, but, like, I don't know, it just wasn't as fascinating. Like, I wasn't really expecting the whole episode to be this wild. I mean, I was kind of hoping it was, honestly, like, once we got to that void place, I thought it was going to be this kind of insane ride where it's, like, all this weird shit's going to be happening, we're going to see a bunch of Lokis. I thought it was going to be a lot of fun, stuff like that. But, I don't know. So, it just went downhill a bit for me after that. And, yeah, and we also seen Ravonna, like, despite, like, she reveals how she was lied to, the timekeepers were never really real, but she still feels like, no, we still have to hold up the ideals of what we were told when we were fed as lies, but, you know, like, cause she now realizes that, I feel like Sylvia told her how she's a variant and stuff, but even so, she's like, I don't care, we have to do what the timekeeper said, or whoever was telling us this stuff. So that's interesting, so she still she's keeping that information to herself from the rest of the variant, I mean the timekeepers of the TVA. So they're still trying to just figure out. She's now trying to. She gets Miss Meth to try and figure out, who the actual timekeepers are, who made a timekeeper. She has her go through records of the beginning of time and try to find out who they are, because they might be in danger from Loki and Sylvie. And so there's all that. And the episode ends where they decide the way they have to. There's this giant monster thing in the void, which I think they said that his name is Atheon or Alien, something like that. I'll put it in the description here, so I literally cannot recall. I remember it sort of. I know what they kind of said, but I really can't process exactly what the name was. It was kind of hard to remember, because I don't know. But yeah, so Loki and the other Lokis say, Loki tells the other Lokis, we gotta go kill this one thing, and then we'll be able to get out of here. But Sylvie's like, no, I'm gonna enchant it to see its minds. I was able to briefly earlier, and I saw castle things, and maybe that's possibly where the creator of the timekeepers are. So, and to do that, and of course, Sylvie wants to do it by herself, but then Loki says he's gonna stay, and then and the other Loki, like Kid Loki, Old Loki, and Auger Loki just say, yeah, we're fine, we don't want to leave, we live here now, we've been doing a good job living here and surviving here so far, it's our home now, so we're just gonna deal with it. And so there's all of that, and yeah, Mobius, how they give him the time pad to go back to TVA, no clue what he's gonna do there. He said he's gonna burn to the ground and help tell everyone that they're all variants, set them free. I'm not really sure he's gonna be able to do that. How's he gonna be able to start a revelation by himself? I don't know. But something cool should be happening there. I'm also glad he's not dead. It would have sucked. It would have sucked if he died from last episode. And him and Loki have this very sweet tender goodbye moment where he's ready to shake Loki's hand and say, "Hey, see you later, Loki." And then but then Loki's like, "No," and they give each other a hug. And he's and he tells him, "Farewell, my friend," which Loki says at the Mobius, which I thought was a very, very nice moment, showing this is probably Loki's first friend ever. Honestly, the other Loki, our main Loki, got actually friends. Everyone started liking him going forward. Thor, him got closer by Ragnarok. For this Loki, this is his first proper friend ever, so I thought that was very nice. And then, of course, Loki and Sylvia team up, and they manage to combine their powers to actually see into the mind of the creature and find the place. And then, of course, if it ends, we don't know where they went to. And of course, also the older Loki does come in to help distract the creature so that it doesn't try and eat them while they try to hack its brain. And he uses illusion powers to create the entirety of Asgard. Isn't able to keep it for that long, but so he distracts it enough and he dies. So very sad. But yeah. Overall, the episode, I don't know, I feel this episode I think is also a 7. I liked it more than the Laments episode 3. That's still the worst episode of this show, I think. It's just really boring. It's this one's good, but it's just, I feel once it gets with Mobius and Sylvia with the others, it kind of drags a bit. I feel I don't know why, it just wasn't as interesting going forward. The first part was the very beginning. I was kind of hoping that it would be a bit more silly and loosey-goosey. There's kind of crazy stuff happening, but it wasn't really that. But the whole thing with the other Lokis, I'm wondering if how many of them are multiverse how were these guys Lokis back when there was a multiverse before the timekeepers or whoever it was, single-fied the timelines for just one timeline? Because there's only one other Tom Hiddleston Loki we saw in that group. Everyone else was a wildly, the Richard E. Grant one was an older version of Tom Hiddleston's Loki, and the kid one would have grown up into Tom Hiddleston, but everyone else was a wildly different looking Loki. So none of them else looked like Tom Hiddleston. Some were skinnier people, some were bigger, buffer dudes. I'm assuming maybe they just all were various timelines where they somehow ended up accidentally looking not like Tom Hiddleston, which I'm not sure how that happens. I don't know, maybe, or maybe they're multiverse Loki. I have no idea. It's a lot of confusing questions that need to be answered there, but they're probably not going to be answered. They're not really that confusing. I'm assuming they're multiverse Lokis before when the multiverse was still a thing. So I don't know. But and other things also, which I don't understand this also about with the TVA bit, because at the TVA right now, Ravonna has captured the one hunter who betrayed them, also who Sylvia also showed her memories. But I don't get they killed the other hunter. Why are they keeping her locked up? Maybe they need some information from her, but what information does she have that they need? I don't know. I'm curious. I'm very curious to see what next episode's going to be. Next episode's going to be the final episode, and I'm really curious. I don't know, because it feels like there's a lot that needs to be wrapped up and covered still in that final episode. So I have no idea what's going to happen to it. And they've said there's apparently going to be a season 2. Apparently is already in pre-production, but I don't know. Like I'm not sure if what would you really do if it's season 2? If we are getting the season 2, what's it going to be? Like I don't really know. The TVA I assume will get destroyed. Like I have no idea what they would do for season 2, honestly. But yeah, the episode overall, besides stuff with the TVA, was stuff that was confusing with like Ravonna and the Hunter, and like of course the later half was a bit not interesting, but the episode was good for the most part. Like the interaction of Loki and all the other Lokis is insanely fun. It is really great. They all worked well with each other. Like even the brief minutes we saw of those multiple other Lokis, like it was still fun. Actually, wait, I'm not even thinking. It's possible maybe even those other Lokis were maybe they weren't even Lokis that were with that Loki. I think they were. I remember seeing there were a couple of horns on their horn crowns, so I think they all were supposed to be Lokis. That was really fun. I kind of hoped I kind of wanted there would be more of that kind of crazy stuff happening in this episode. Like Mantis was kind of episode 3. I keep going back to the episode. I just wasn't a fan of it. But that's why I keep making comparisons. Because with that episode with Lamantis, I felt like that could have been something like this episode where it's we're just isolating on Loki for this episode and Sylvia, but we're isolating on them for this episode entirely, and it's on this this crazy place. I feel like this is what it should have been, kind of this crazy kind of thing where it's show Loki just being Loki and doing some weird stuff. And we got that in this episode. There's a lot of weird, insane, crazy stuff's happening. But yeah, honestly, it was very fun. So, yeah, I have no idea what's going to happen in the final episode. Maybe they'll reveal Kang's behind all this and we'll set up Ant-Man 3. Or the TVA will probably get destroyed. I have no idea what happened to Mobius. What will he do? What will everyone do? Because they're all variants. And they have no place to go. So will they just go to their own universe? Will they finally start the multiverse again? I have no idea. I said before in the first episode, I hope that they somehow do something where, I don't know. I'm hoping that they do something where once they destroy the TVA, going forward from Loki, so everything in Phase 4, so WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, Spider-Man, all that stuff. Minus Black Widow, that's set technically in Phase 3. But all the stuff going forward in Phase 4 is its own Destiny thing. I mentioned before, I'm not a fan of the whole this predetermined fate thing. For all we know, maybe there is no predetermined fate this. It's all been a bullcrap lie. Who knows? But again, I'm not a fan of that story beat, so I hope to God maybe there's a way they can just, once they break TVA, everything going forward is changed now, so everything in Phase 4 it was its own free will, so WandaVision, Wanda taking control of that town was a free will, Falcon becoming Captain America, free will choice, whatever dimensional stuff happens, Spider-Man, all free will choices. I'm hoping a lot of that, so, but yeah. So yeah, 7 for this episode, honestly, it was good. Curious to see how the final episode goes next week, so yeah, I will be here to cover that, so yeah, stay tuned for next week for the series final, or season final, depending on if we get season 2 Loki. I'm not sure at this point. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Tell me in the comments down below what you think of episode 5, Journey the Mystery. And I'll see you guys all later for episode 6 next week. So yeah, see y'all later. Goodbye. Hey, if you like that video, guess what? YouTube put out a video just for you on the left. Or, if you want to take my advice, watch the most recent video on the right. Thanks for watching.